Now, this is Baruch again, and it is our time to get into Jewish astrology, the cosmic science, Torah, Talmud, and Zohar works on spiritual astrology. Let's look over here to the section that Rabbi Yaakov Kkronenberg has brought this tremendous compendium of different ideas, but they are big ideas, and not to be zeroed in on just as we begin. This is astrology according to Jewish law, and we're really discussing a commentary by Yaakov Kkronenberg on a Torah astrology book written nearly 1,000 years ago by the famous Rabbi Avraham Bar Chia. Rabbi Chia lived in Spain, and these are the dates, about 1,000 years ago. It was the great-grandson of Hezge Gaon, the last Gaon of the Talmudic Academy of Pumbedita, and a direct descendant of the Davidic dynasty. So he was the teacher of Rabbi Abraham ibn Ezra. Those of you who are familiar with the Chumash of the 5 books of Moses will know that name, and author of numerous books in Hebrew. Now, I'm not going to go through every single one of them. I just want to repeat again, who is this famous Rabbi Abraham Bar Chia, who is really leading us into the conversation on astrology. So this is Jewish astrology. It's the astrology of the cosmos and how they move and how it is, in fact, the Almighty set the world in motion. Now in the next paragraph of the letter of Rabbi this is where we're reading right here. Let me see if I can get this lined up a little bit better. In the letter of Rabbi Chia Ba'aba, let me see if I can get this propped a little better. So he says, he is going to talk about really what it really means not to listen to the Chaldean meaning an astronomer, an astrologer. But first, as his introduction to that, and to make it more understandable, I want to quote the Talmud in Tractate Shabbat, page 156 on the first side. It is written in the notebook of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, one who was born on the first day of the week. In Judaism, the first day of the week is Sunday, will be a man with only one thing in him. Now, this is the Gemara talking here, the Talmud. What does it mean, a man with one thing in him? Does it mean that he is a man with only one good thing in him? Rav Ashi said, but I was born on the first day of the week, and I have many good things in me. So maybe it means that this one thing refers to only one bad thing. But Rav Ashi said, I and Dimi Bar Karkuza are both born on the first day of the week, and I became a king, that is, became the dean or the Rosh Yeshiva of his academy, who was like the king of the yeshiva. And Dimi became the head of the Teves. So therefore it means that one born on the first day of the week will either be successful for the best or successful for the worst. And what is the reason for this? The reason is that on the first day, darkness and light were created. And those extremes of either light or darkness are embedded in that day, in perpetuity. And anyone born on that day will reflect either of these opposite characteristics of success and getting to the top. So that's a Gemara. So you see here that the Talmud is linking the days of the week and the type of person who was born on any one of those days to the energy and activity that took place during the 7 days of creation. What God created on each of the original days of creation, that is the 7 days of creation, hints to you about what kind of a person will be born on each of these days in the week. So he wants to say, as the world turns, right, there's a constant change of the influences that are coming to us. So he said, what God created on each of the individual days of creation hints to you about what kind of person will be born on each of these days in the week. Now he goes like this, and he says, one who was born on the second day of the week, which is Monday, is likely to be an angry person. What's the reason for this? Because on day 2 of creation, the upper and lower worlds were separated. Separation causes, I guess it says, anger. And one who was born on the third day of the week, which is Tuesday, is likely to become rich and or be an adulterer. And what is the reason for this? Because on day 3 of creation, the grasses were created, and the grasses grow very fast, which is an indication to wealth. Just as grasses grow fast, so would the person's crops grow fast, and the person is going to make a lot of money. And since it isn't said that the grasses would grow according to their species and therefore they will intermingle, it indicates that a person born on that day might have a tendency to adultery. So since he goes after something which is not his and likes things that are someone else's, one who was born on the fourth day of the week, which is Wednesday, he says it's Wednesday, will be wise and have a good memory. What's the reason for this? Because the planets and the stars were positioned on that day. The moon gives him a good memory and the sun makes him wise. And one born on the fifth day, that's Thursday of the week, is likely to be generous and do good deeds for others. And what is the reason for that? Because the fish and the birds were created on that day. And the fish and the birds find food very easily, which indicates the energy of making it easy for himself to find things that he needs. One is born on the sixth day, that's Friday, is likely to be a person who strives a lot after different things. Said Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, such a person would be a seeker of good deeds because on Friday we do the good deeds of preparing for the Sabbath. Now, I missed some of the page here. I'm not following. I'm reading along to the book. And here you are. So we do give good deeds for preparing for Saturday, which is the Shabbat. Now he says, one who was born on the Shabbat, on Saturday, is likely to die on the Sabbath. Because since one disturbed the Sabbath laws in order to be born and save his life, so he will have to die in Shabbat. The Talmud goes on and says, and Rabba bar Rav Shila said, and who was born on Shabbat will be a great and a holy person. Said Rav Hanina, go out and tell Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Go tell Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, who uses the days to determine influences. So let's see, we're in a conversation that is going on in the Talmud right now. It is not the day that counts, but the hour of birth. Now this is more like what astrologers use now, which is your birth chart at the moment that you were born. One who is born when the sun is ruling will be good looking and have a dynamic disposition because the sun is bright. And he's going to eat his own food and drink from his own resources, and his secrets will be revealed because the sun sheds light and reveals everything. I suppose you could say he will have a big ego and can't refrain from talking about himself and will not succeed if he resorts to theft. Because whatever he does comes to light. That's the sun, it puts you in light. One who was born when Venus rules is likely to be rich and an adulterer. For what reason? Because fire is positioned in it. Now what does that mean? In Venus. One born, so he said, because fire is positioned in Venus. One born when Mercury rules is likely to have a good memory and be wise, for Mercury is the scribe of the sun. One who is born is, in other words, right next to the sun, so I guess it gets the immediate rays. One who is born when the moon rules is likely to suffer a lot of evil, build and demolish and build, because the moon always gets bigger and smaller, it keeps changing, and it takes from what is not his and drinks what is not his, because the moon can be seen sometimes during the daytime, which is not the moon's time, so therefore it could take from the time of the sun, whereas the sun is never seen at night. So the moon has a tendency towards theft, but his secrets are not likely to be revealed, and such a person is likely to succeed if he resorts to theft. The moon resembles the unconscious because it has no light of its own, so it doesn't really shed light on anything. That's what we're learning today in astrology. This is the Gemara. We have to understand that this is very general kind of ideas, and we're still getting more to the flavor. What he's telling us is that the days, the hours, the moments, each one of them has a particular ruler which has tendencies. This is Baruch Flesh.